are you guys? Let's play 25 cents spin and go and let's see what's going on in this game. So we're playing against one guy from Belarus, one from Russia. And it's worth to observe your opponent since the very beginning of the game. Right now, as you saw, small blind just limped pre-flop and then checked the flop, checked the turn, checked the river. The same big blind did. So they're pretty passive. One showed 10 high, other one showed the 9 high. So right now we can draw some conclusions that we are playing against some pretty passive opponents. We're not playing against someone who will try to bluff us like Isildur. We're playing against someone who looks like he wants to hit. So whenever we have problematic spot, should we call or not, we should fold because this guy is not bluffing. We have pair plus flush draw, pretty great combo draw. So raising is totally okay as we want to build the pot a bit. He limped from the button, so it shows that this guy is pretty passive. He don't want to build the pot. That's why just min betting is totally okay. Just trying to win the pot against him with one small bet. And he raised very big. So can you see this contrast? Like he's either checking or raising very big. Definitely raising king 10. And click raise. So this is, I would say that seeing how this guy just checked down 10 high, he didn't try to bluff. I think this raise is pretty strong. And right now we face the pot size bet. So we have a gut shot. We have an overcard and a gut shot. So basically we have 7 outs. 4 for a jack and 3 for a king. So basically 7 outs is only 14% to the turn. And it totally looks like he's going to bet again, as the pot size bet is a sign of a great strength. So folding on the turn, folding on the flop, gut shot is totally okay. Interesting scenario where, as usual I would just call because we have good odds, but previously button was limping, now he raised, so this raise definitely shows he has some good hand. Let's see the action. Let's draw more conclusion about this guy. So now in 3-bet pot he just min bets. So this is a great difference. These are the sizing tells. But let's see what he shows up with. I would say that with this min bet he has taller, like king queen, maybe ace queen, ace king, I don't know. Yep, and he folded. So worth to note, to basically practice your noting, that this guy has sizing tells. Min bet, fold, or pot size bet. So this is very useful information, even for next 4 minutes if we will play heads up against this guy. Because whenever we see that this guy goes for a min bet or a pot size bet, we can adjust and go for some hero folds. We can fold a second pair if he goes for a pot size bet, and we can raise with a bluff if we face a min bet. So he folded. So he's playing very tight. Limping jack 8 and checking a third pair. So right now, if he goes for a pot size bet, what should we do? And if he min bet, would you call? And this is how you gather the information. So he went for a min bet, I'm definitely calling. He checks, so it totally looks like he's giving up. And I hit the second pair on the river, and as I know he don't have a great hand, I can't really bet with a big sizing. I think a small, like 40%, to get some calls with a queen, maybe from a jack. is totally enough. Raising king 8, and both of my opponents called. And the board is paired. So on paired boards, my opponents can't have many, can't be connected too much. As the pair is already on the board, there are only 2 5s in the deck. So fold equity is pretty big, and we should always see bet paired boards. Small blind calls, and there's an ace on the turn. So this ace is basically great card to bet again, as pretty often my opponent would move all in pre-flop with ace, and I don't see him calling too much on the flop. Also with a king, we are value betting against if my opponent has a straight draw like 7-8, 7-9, or a flush draw like, I don't know, Jack-10 with hearts. Our king is better than his draw. Unfortunately, this river is terrible, as it completes 7-8, it completes flush draw, so we can't do much. We could, if we try to bluff this river, we're only trying to get rid of a few 6s, but there are only a few. So yeah, giving up, and he shows up the flush. He had the ace, which is pretty okay if he had a very weak ace. He could have had this. 10 deuce on 5 big blinds, no shame in folding. 8-9, we are a bit too shallow to move all in with this. And still, chip and chair. It's only 5 big blinds, but this is very important to not make, I would say, stupid decisions, because still these are 200 chips. It's almost half of the starting stack. And if we double up, we'll have a starting stack. So yeah, chip and chair. I had plenty of situations when I rebuild it from 1 big blind or even less than that, from 20 chips. So yeah. Let's see if this will bleed a 1. So we're a bit underdog, we need to hit an ace. Nope, it didn't happen. And this is pretty often of a situation when on 5 blinds we'll have sometimes worse, sometimes better hand. And you shouldn't be mad at these spots, because this happens to everyone. Like on 5 big blinds you can't decide what hand you have. And the hyper turbos, games on 5 big blinds, they are all about having 1% edge or flipping pretty often. So with pocket 8s, moving all in over the isolation, and we're flipping. So again, this is an untouchable, unattachable part of spinning goes. You have to flip. And as we are so shallow, take a look, pre-flop, we had 54.6% of equity. So if you do 1 million flips like that, from $1 you will have plenty of these 10% of your equity, right? So this is all about plenty of small flips. Free high, we're checking, but when our opponent checked twice, I don't think he has an 8, ace or 6, so we can bet the river and try to win, because we have only free high. We are losing up against everything. And basically we can start min raising every single hand and put a pressure on our opponent and see how he reacts. With the trips, we shouldn't increase the sizing. Betting small is important to let your opponent call with some king 6, with some bad gut shots, maybe raise from time to time with air. We're pretty shallow, so we don't need to bet a lot. This is not cash game. This is not 100 BB game. Small bets are very important. Okay, so this guy is folding a lot from small blind. So we're putting the pressure even with d7, as you can see. He's folding a lot. So he don't like to play many hands. So definitely min raising against this opponent will have a great value. He min bets, so with pair we can just call. He min bets again. Let's call again. And we have great odds. As you can see, we only need to invest 20 to win a pot of 200. So we only need to be good 10% of the time. So definitely calling once, as he could do it easily with a 6. And as we saw, he went for a dunk bet with 2 pairs. So this tells us that this guy will bet by himself his top range, that he will fast play. Okay, so we have overcard and good flush draw, definitely raising. Ace isn't too good for us, as as this guy was folding so many times, so ace actually is pretty often in his range. But here's a flush on the river, so he calls our raise on the flop. So I think he has either a jack or slow played ace. So I don't mind just moving all in, and as I don't think he would fold his pair. Min raising ace jack, and he's still folding. So as you can see, we can easily put a pressure on him. And 11 big blinds with ace 9, just moving all in. Yeah, sometimes they will show up with top range, but in long run definitely the moving all in with aces will do the profit. And as you can see, this is the most important, raising with 3-7 offsuited. And basically we know this guy is not raising much, he's open folding a lot, and he's folding to our min raise. So our strategy, what should be our strategy? How we should play against his min raise? Pretty tight. And how we should play against his big blind? Pretty loose. Second pair with bad kicker, I don't mind just checking, and this is mainly because there are not too many overcards, and I want him to hit something on the turn, like flush draw, and basically right now increase the sizing to basically value bet his flush draw. So we hit the trips on the river. But what cards he has? He didn't dunk bet, so he don't have a top pair. I don't think he has a trips, as we have a 10. So, and there are plenty of misdraws. So sometimes it's cool to bet small to basically give him a chance to call with some ace highs, maybe raise with misdraws. Maybe call with some queen highs, I don't know. He raises, but with king 8 definitely worth calling. We hit the top pair, and he only min bets. So with the top pair it's worth raising, as there are not many cards that are better than than us. Only king 9, king 10, king jack, king queen ace king, not many of them. Okay, so this looks pretty strong. He went for a min bet, and now he just min raises. So actually against this opponent he min raised pre-flop. I don't mind even going for a hero fold at this point, because he was not raising at all. He was super passive, he folded to almost every hour min raise, he was open folding so much. I really believe he has some kind of, he has sets, he has 2 pairs or one of the best kings. And I will focus on winning pots from him with small pots. Basically this is how we should play against tight players. We should tighten up a lot when they are aggressive, and we should maximize our aggression when they are tight. So right now I am not afraid at all this board, as he didn't dunk bet. We can easily go for a bet. 60 is totally enough, as I want him to call with some gut shots. He folded. So that's why we can c-bet against him almost every single time. Check. And he checked, so looks like he doesn't have anything. But still, with top pair, it's worth to bet as there are some draws like 5-7, 7-8, and so on. He calls, and this 5 actually brings lots of single pairs to my opponent. Also, he could easily have a jack or 6, so betting a half pot to let him call with weakest pairs is totally okay. Min raising, putting a pressure on him. Okay, he was folding so much that he can't really have a deuce or 5. There are no cards that that he would call pre-flop. So if he bets, it totally looks like a flush draw or a king. Okay, he checks the turn, which is pretty surprising. I will bet to let him call with some weak flush draws or gut shots if he decides to dunk on the flop. Okay, and he quickly folded, so looks like he's not only dunk betting his top range, he's from time to time bluffing. Jack 6, still min raising and putting the pressure on his passiveness. And C betting. And when we are, as my standard sizing would be 50, but as we are so shallow, even min betting is totally enough. Eight, 10, again, even on 7 big blinds, we can just go for a min raise. And as you saw, he folded so quickly. Not below 6 big blinds. So here with king, on 4 blinds, I think he has plenty of random cards like queen 9, 7, 8 and so on that we should call. And we held with the best hand. Yep, that's how you play. You need to play solid, you need to wait for your opponent's mistakes, and when you see you're playing against someone who folds, exploit it. This is how you play against players, not with your cards. As you saw, I was min raising with 7-3 and I folded a top pair and I won against this guy. Poker. Good luck at the tables.